The Sasga Menorquin range has its roots in humble runabouts and fishing boats suited to the local waters of Menorca where the boats are built. But the range has blossomed and includes a 34, a 54, a 68 and the 42 that we're in Portsmouth today to test. The question is, beneath this retro traditional charm, does the boat have the depth of capability and is it suited to life outside of the Balearics? We're about to find out. The boat's sharp bow entry and flared bow aren't just there for show. They're attached to a semi-displacement hull that's resin infused and feels extremely solid out on the water. We experience a typical short Solent chop today, and not only is it very soft riding and comfortable, but that broad bow pushes away any spray so the decks stay nice and dry. This particular model is fitted with a pair of Volvo Penta D4 300 horsepower engines, and top speed on test was 22 knots, cruising speed anywhere between 16 and 18 knots. Yet if you drop it down to 7, you get a range of around 1,000 nautical miles. Now the driving position up here, it's pretty good. You do have to lean forward to meet the wheel. This chair is fixed, though it does lift up to reveal some storage, but up here everything is just a little bit too far away and there isn't really anywhere to put a VHF or a mobile phone on this dashboard. That said, down below the dash setup is much better. This boat is available as a Wheelhouse or in this Flybridge version that we're testing today. Now honestly, you're not going to buy this boat for its Flybridge. It's perfectly okay for what space they have, but there are other boats on the market of this size that have far more spacious Flybridges. But it's nice that you have this sociable wrap of seating here that means people can use it when the boat's going along to keep the skipper company, and you do have a little bit of sunbathing space aft, though everything feels a little bit low and a bit precarious up here. This rounded canoe stern is typical of the Menorquin style, as is all this lovely timber that greets you as soon as you walk on board. The extended bathing platform can look a little incongruous against this lovely design, but it does mean you have decent space for a tender on here if you want one. There's a bit of a step up into the cockpit, but then it really broadens out and you notice the boat's beam immediately. It's absolutely huge. Me personally, I'd probably want a little bit of teak in this cockpit, but the seating is absolutely fine. There's good storage underneath, and of course there's cushions here that you can put down to make it a little bit more comfortable. And the deck hatches here, there's 2 of them. This is a little inspection hatch that opens nice and quickly for you to have a quick look, poke your head into the engine room. If you want to open this main hatch for more serious work, you have to swivel the ladder to one side and then you can open almost this entire deck section and get really good access to the engines. The Flybridge isn't enormous on this boat, but you do have a huge amount of sunbathing space up here on the foredeck. We have a really broad sunbathing area. The decks are really easy to move around as well. You've got nice teak-capped bulwarks, good handrails all the way around. You can pretty much walk 1 foot in front of the other all the way down. And you see in the deck here, you lift up these hatches and that's where you find the filler caps for water, diesel and waste. Now moving into the Wheelhouse, you can't help but notice the lovely varnished timber up here in the overhang and also on these doors that fold to really open out the saloon to the cockpit. And it's a very warm home from home and traditional interior in general. Cream leather, light wood. It's not particularly contemporary, but it's very comfortable and very inoffensive. And there's plenty of light coming in here as well. View's really good out. Okay, the windows are partitioned a little bit and you have the curtains dangling down, but there's plenty of glass space and also ventilation as well through side windows. Of course, if you have the non-Flybridge version, you'd have a sunroof up here that lets even more light in. There are some more configurations to have as well. So this boat is a 2-cabin layout with the galley down, but you can have the galley up here on the main deck in place of this sofa, and that means you can either have 3 cabins downstairs or 2 cabins in the study. They talk of themselves as a semi-custom yard, Sasga, so they're pretty happy to change things up if you want something in particular. But I quite like this galley down layout. Again, it's really reasonably traditional, but it means that you get plenty of space down here. A shame there isn't a full height fridge freezer, you've just got an under the counter job here, but there's plenty of storage, and actually because the dash is open, there's a decent amount of light down here as well. Now, unless you really want the sleeping space, I would opt for the 2-cabin arrangement because the size of the cabins is really generous, especially this forward master. Really good amount of headroom, very easy to get into the bed, which is set nice and low. Light is very good, though it's slightly odd that there's no curtains over the portholes here, so that's going to be pretty bright in the morning. But both bathrooms are a really good size as well. The only downside being that the separate shower cubicles are a bit fiddly. They're in 2 separate parts. You have to pull them away from the wall, but it's nice to have them. And in general, you're going to be very comfortable even if there's 2 couples on here for a week, maybe 2 weeks. What's impressive about this guest cabin is how far down they've set the berths into the hull, so that there's a really good amount of headroom in here. Okay, you can't stand between the berths, but sitting up in bed is perfectly comfortable. And storage is pretty good as well. There isn't full height hanging for clothes, but there's enough for folding clothes and also a bit of space for some baggage as well.